Hola everyone, and welcome to the final sections 11 and 12 of In Tune with the Infinite. It is our final week with this literature or teachings, and I truly hope that you're starting to realize that we are all humans, and I'm hoping that you're starting to realize that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have powers beyond what you could ever imagine. We are light, we are love, we are all that is. And if you can tune into these wonderful connections to the infinite and tune into it, your life will change. There is a guarantee. And sometimes fear can come in while that change happens. So it's very important to trust that it is divine and just flow with it. And the more and more that you can recognize this within yourself, you will start hearing those little nudges and feeling those little nudges and being able to react even quicker to those nudges and have everything flow your way, like that person that you envied in the beginning and saw everything works out for them, everything flows for them. They have a great relationship, love relationship, they have a great career, they always have success in whatever they do. And you now too know how to tune into that and can make the life that you've always dreamed of. So I hope you enjoy these final sections of 11 and 12. Have a wonderful day. Love you guys. And hasta luego.
Section 11 of In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The basic principle of all religions, the universal religion. The great truth we are considering is the fundamental principle running through all religions. We find it in every one. In regard to it, all agree. It is, moreover, a great truth in regard to which all people can agree, whether they belong to the same or to different religions. People always quarrel about the trifles, about their personal views of minor insignificant points. They always come together in the presence of great fundamental truths, the threads of which run through all. The quarrels are in connection with the lower self. The agreements are in connection with the higher self. A place may have its factions that quarrel and fight among themselves, but let a great calamity come upon the land, flood, famine, pestilence, and these little personal differences are entirely forgotten, and all work shoulder to shoulder in the one great cause. The changing, the evolving self gives rise to quarrels. The permanent, the soul self unites in all the highest efforts of love and service. Patriotism is a beautiful thing. It is well for me to love my country. But why should I love my own country more than I love all others? If I love my own and hate others, I then show my limitations, and my patriotism will stand the test not even for my own. If I love my own country and in the same way love all other countries, then I show the largeness of my nature, and a patriotism of this kind is noble and always to be relied upon. The view of God in regard to which we are agreed, that He is the infinite spirit of life and power, that is back of all, that is working in and through all, that is the life of all, is a matter in regard to which all men, all religions can agree. With this view there can be no infidels or atheists. There are atheists and infidels in connection with many views that are held concerning God, and thank God there are. Even devout and earnest people among us attribute things to God that no respectable men or women would permit to be attributed to themselves. This view is satisfying to those who cannot see how God can be angry with His children, jealous, vindictive. A display of these qualities always lessens our respect for men and women, and still we attribute them to God. The earnest, sincere heretic is one of the greatest friends true religion can have. Heretics are among God's greatest servants. They are among the true servants of mankind. Christ was one of the greatest heretics the world has ever known. He allowed Himself to be bound by no established or orthodox teachings or beliefs. Christ is preeminently a type of the universal. John the Baptist is a type of the personal. John dressed in a particular way, ate a particular kind of food, belonged to a particular order, lived and taught in a particular locality, and he himself recognized the fact that he must decrease while Christ must increase. Christ, on the other hand, gave himself absolutely no limitations. He allowed himself to be bound by nothing. He was absolutely universal, and as a consequence, taught not for his own particular day, but for all time. This mighty truth which we have agreed upon as the great central fact of human life is the golden thread that runs through all religions. When we make it the paramount fact in our lives, we will find that minor differences, narrow prejudices, and all these laughable absurdities will so fall away by virtue of their very insignificance that a Jew can worship equally as well in a Catholic cathedral, a Catholic in a Jewish synagogue, a Buddhist in a Christian church, a Christian in a Buddhist temple. Or all can worship equally well about their own hearthstones, or out on the hillside, or while pursuing the avocations of everyday life. For true worship, only God and the human soul are necessary. It does not depend upon times or seasons or occasions. Anywhere and at any time, God and man in the bush may meet. This is the great fundamental principle of the universal religion upon which all can agree. This is the great fact that is permanent. There are many things in regard to which all cannot agree. These are the things that are personal, non-essential, and so as time passes they gradually fall away. One who doesn't grasp this great truth, a Christian for example, asks, "But was not Christ inspired?" Yes, but he was not the only one inspired. Another who is a Buddhist asks, "Was not Buddha inspired?" Yes, but he was not the only one inspired. A Christian asks, "But is not our Christian Bible inspired?" Yes, but there are other inspired scriptures. A Brahmin or a Buddhist asks, "Are not the Vedas inspired?" Yes, but there are other inspired sacred books. Your error is not in believing that your particular scriptures are inspired, but your error is, and you show your absurdly laughable limitations by it, your inability to see that other scriptures are also inspired. The sacred books, the inspired writings, all come from the same source, God. God speaking through the souls of those who open themselves that He may thus speak. Some may be more inspired than others. It depends entirely on the relative degree that this one or that one opens himself to the divine voice. Says one of the inspired writers in the Hebrew Scriptures, "Wisdom is the breath of the power of God, and in all ages, entering into holy souls, she maketh them friends of God and prophets." Let us not be among the number so dwarfed, so limited, so bigoted as to think that the infinite God has revealed Himself to one little handful of His children, in one little quarter of the globe, and at one particular period of time. This isn't the pattern by which God works. "Of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that revereth God and worketh righteousness is accepted of Him," says the Christian Bible. When we fully realize this truth, we will then see that it makes but little difference what particular form of religion one holds to. But it does make a tremendous difference how true he is to the vital principles of this one. In the degree that we love self less and love truth more, in that degree will we care less about converting people to our particular way of thinking, but all the more we will care to aid them in coming into the full realization of truth through the channels best adapted to them. The doctrine of our Master, says the Chinese, consisted solely in integrity of heart. We will find as we search that this is the doctrine of every one who is at all worthy the name of Master. The great fundamental principles of all religions are the same. They differ only in their minor details according to the various degrees of unfoldment of different people. I am sometimes asked, "To what religion do you belong?" What religion? Why, bless you, there's only one religion, the religion of the living God. There are, of course, the various creeds of the same religion arising from the various interpretations of different people, but they are all of minor importance. The more unfolded the soul, the less important do these minor differences become. They are also, of course, the various so-called religions. There is in reality, however, but one religion. The moment we lose sight of this great fact, we depart from the real, vital spirit of true religion, and allow ourselves to be limited and bound by form. In the degree that we do this, we build fences around ourselves which keep others away from us, and which also prevent our coming into the realization of universal truth. There is nothing worthy the name of truth that is not universal. There is only one religion. "Whatever road I take joins the highway that leads to thee," says the inspired writer in the Persian Scriptures. "Broad is the carpet God has spread, and beautiful the colors He has given it. The pure man respects every form of faith," says the Buddhist. "My doctrine makes no difference between high and low, rich and poor. Like the sky, it has room for all, and like the water, it washes all alike. The broad-minded see the truth in different religions. The narrow-minded see only the differences," says the Chinese. The Hindu has said, "The narrow-minded ask, is this man a stranger, or is he of our tribe? But to those in whom love dwells, the whole world is but one family. Altar flowers are of many species, but all worship is one. Heaven is a palace with many doors, and each may enter in his own way." "Are not we all children of one Father?" says the Christian. "God has made of one blood all nations, to dwell on the face of the earth." It was a latter-day seer who said, "That which was profitable to the soul of man, the Father revealed to the ancients. That which is profitable to the soul of man today, revealeth He this day." It was Tennyson who said, "I dreamed that the stone by stone I reared a sacred fane, a temple, neither pagoda, mosque, nor church, but loftier, simpler, always open-doored to every breath from heaven, and truth and peace and love and justice came and dwelt therein." Religion in its true sense is the most joyous thing the human soul can know, and when the religion is realized, we will find that it will be an agent of peace, of joy, and of happiness, and never an agent of gloomy, long-faced sadness. It will then be attractive to all and repulsive to none. Let our churches grasp these great truths. Let them give their time and attention to bringing people into a knowledge of their true selves, into a knowledge of their relations, of their oneness with the infinite God, and such joy will be the result, and such crowds will flock to them that their very walls will seem almost to burst, and such songs of joy will continually pour forth as will make all people in love with the religion that makes for everyday life, and hence the religion that is true and vital. Adequacy for life, adequacy for everyday life here and now, must be the test of all true religion. If it does not bear this test, then it simply is not religion. We need an everyday, this world religion. All time spent in connection with any other is worse than wasted. The eternal life that we are now living will be well lived if we take good care of each little period of time as it presents itself day after day. If we fail in doing this, we fail in everything. End of section 11. Section 12 of In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Entering now into the realization of the highest riches. I hear the question, what can be said in a concrete way in regard to the method of coming into this realization? The facts underlying it are, indeed, most beautiful and true, but how can we actualize in ourselves the realization that carries with it such wonderful results? The method is not difficult if we do not of ourselves make it difficult. The principal word to be used is the word open. Simply to open your mind and heart into this divine inflow, which is waiting only for the opening of the gate, that it may enter. It is like opening the gate of the trough which conducts water from the reservoir above into the field below. The water, by virtue of its very nature, will rush in and irrigate the field if the gate is but opened. As to the realization of our oneness with this infinite life and power, after seeing, as I think we have clearly seen by this time, the relations it bears to us and we do it, the chief thing to be said is simply, realize your oneness with it. The open mind and heart whereby one is brought into the receptive attitude is the first thing necessary, then the earnest, sincere desire. It may be an aid at first to take yourself for a few moments each day into the quiet, into the silence, where you will not be agitated by the disturbances that enter through the avenues of the physical senses. There in the quiet, alone with God, put yourself into the receptive attitude. Calmly, quietly, and expectantly desire that this realization break in upon and take possession of the soul. As it breaks in upon and takes possession of the soul, it will manifest itself to your mind, and from this you will feel its manifestations in every part of your body. Then in the degree that you open yourself to it, you will feel a quiet, peaceful, illuminating power that will harmonize body, soul, and mind, and that will then harmonize these with all the world. You are now on the mountaintop, and the voice of God is speaking to you. Then as you descend, carry this realization with you. Live in it, waking, working, thinking, walking, sleeping. In this way, although you may not be continually on the mountaintop, you will nevertheless be continually living in the realization of all the beauty, and inspiration, and power you have felt there. Moreover, the time will come when in the busy office or on the noisy street you can enter into the silence by simply drawing the mantle of your own thoughts about you, and realizing that there and everywhere the spirit of the infinite life, love, wisdom, peace, power, and plenty is guiding, keeping, protecting, leading you. This is the spirit of continual prayer. This it is to pray without ceasing. This it is to know and to walk with God. This it is to find the Christ within. This is the new birth, the second birth. First that which is natural, then that which is spiritual. It is thus that the old man Adam is put off, and the new man Christ is put on. This it is to be saved unto life eternal, whatever one's form of belief or faith may be, for it is life eternal to know God. The sweet by and by will be a song of the past. We will create a new song, the beautiful eternal now. This is the realization that you and I can come into this very day, this very hour, this very minute, if we desire and if we will it. And if now we merely set our faces in the right direction, it is then but a matter of time until we come into the full splendors of this complete realization. To set one's face in the direction of the mountain and then simply to journey on, whether rapidly or more slowly, will bring him to it. But unless one set his face in the right direction and make the start, he will not reach it. It was Goethe who said, "Are you in earnest? Seize this very minute. What you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Only engage, and then the mind grows heated. Begin, and then the work will be completed." Said the young man, Gautama Siddhartha, "I have awakened to the truth, and I am resolved to accomplish my purpose. Verily I shall become a Buddha." It was this that brought him into the life of the Enlightened One, and so into the realization of nirvana right here in this life. That this same realization and life is within the possibilities of all here and now was his teaching. It was this that has made him the light-bearer to millions of people. Said the young man, "Jesus, know ye not that I must be about my Father's business?" Making this the one great purpose of his life, he came into the full and complete realization. I and the Father are one. He thus came into the full realization of the kingdom of heaven right here in this life. That all could come into this same realization and life here and now was his teaching. It was this that has made him the light-bearer to millions of people. And so far as practical things are concerned, we may hunt the whole wide universe through, and we shall find that there is no injunction more practical than, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto you." And in the light of what has gone before, I think there is no one who is open to the truth and honest with himself who will fail to grasp the underlying reason and see the great laws upon which it is based. Personally, I know lives that have so fully entered into the kingdom through the realization of their oneness with the infinite life and through the opening of themselves so fully to its divine guidance, that they are most wonderfully concrete examples of the reality of this great and all-important truth. They are people whose lives are in this way guided not only in a general way, but literally in every detail. They simply live in the realization of their oneness with this infinite power, continually in harmony with it, and so continually in the realization of the kingdom of heaven. An abundance of all things is theirs. They are never at a loss for anything. The supply seems always to equal the demand. They never seem at a loss in regard to what to do or how to do it. Their lives are careless lives. Their lives are free from care because they are continually conscious of the fact that the higher powers are doing the guiding, and they are relieved of the responsibility. To enter into detail in connection with some of these lives, and particularly with 2 or 3 that come to my mind at this moment, would reveal facts that no doubt to some would seem almost incredible, if not miraculous. But let us remember that what is possible for one life to realize is possible for all. This is indeed the natural and the normal life, that which will be the everyday life of everyone who comes into and who lives in this higher realization, and so in harmony with the higher laws. This is simply getting into the current of that divine sequence running throughout the universe. And when once in it, life then ceases to be a plodding and moves along day after day, much as the tide flows, much as the planets move in their courses, much as the seasons come and go. All the frictions, all the uncertainties, all the ills, the sufferings, the fears, the forebodings, the perplexities of life come to us because they are out of harmony with the divine order of things. They will continue to come as long as we so live. Rowing against the tide is hard and uncertain. To go with the tide and thus to take advantage of the working of a great natural force is safe and easy. To come into the consciousness, vital realization of our oneness with the infinite life and power is to come into the current of this divine sequence. Coming thus into harmony with the infinite brings us in turn into harmony with all about us, into harmony with the life of the heavens, into harmony with all the universe, and above all it brings us into harmony with ourselves, so that body, soul, and mind become perfectly harmonized, and when this is so, life becomes full and complete. The sense life then no longer masters and enslaves us. The physical is subordinated to and ruled by the mental. This, in turn, is subordinated to and continually illumined by the spiritual. Life is then no longer the poor, one-sided thing it is in so many cases, but the threefold, the all-round life with all its beauties and ever-increasing joys and powers is entered upon. Thus it is that we are brought to realize that the middle path is the great solution of life, neither asceticism on the one hand, nor license and perverted use on the other. Everything is for use, but all must be wisely used in order to be fully enjoyed. As we live in these higher realizations, the senses are not ignored, but are ever more fully perfected. As the body becomes less gross and heavy, finer in its texture and form, all the senses become finer, so that powers we do not now realize as belonging to us gradually develop. Thus we come, in a perfectly natural and normal way, into the superconscious realms, whereby we make it possible for the higher laws and truths to be revealed to us. As we enter into these realms, we are then not among those who give their time in speculating as to whether this one or that one had the insight and the powers attributed to him, but we are able to know for ourselves. Neither are we among those who attempt to lead the people upon the hearsay of someone else, but we know whereof we speak, and only thus can we speak with authority. There are many things that we cannot know until by living the life we bring ourselves into that state where it is possible for them to be revealed to us. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine. It was Plotinus who said, "The mind that wishes to behold God must itself become God." And thus we make it possible for these higher laws and truths to be revealed to us. We will in turn become enlightened ones, channels through which they may be revealed to others. When one is fully alive to the possibilities that come with this higher awakening, as he goes here and there, as he mingles with his fellow men, he imparts to all an inspiration that kindles them in a feeling of power kindred to his own. We are all continually giving out influences similar to those that are playing in our own lives. We do this in the same way that each flower emits its own peculiar odor. The rose breathes out its fragrance upon the air, and all who come near it are refreshed and inspired by this emanation from the soul of the rose. A poisonous weed sends out its obnoxious odor. It is neither refreshing nor inspiring in its effects, and if one remain near it long, he may be so unpleasantly affected as to be made even ill by it. The higher the life, the more inspiring and helpful are the emanations that it is continually sending out. The lower the life, the more harmful it is to the influence it continually sends out to all who come in contact with it. Each one is continually radiating an atmosphere of one kind or the other. We are told by the mariners who sail on the Indian seas that many times they are able to tell their approach to certain islands long before they see them by the sweet fragrance of the sandalwood that is wafted far out upon the deep. Do you not see how it would serve to have such a soul playing through such a body, that as you go here and there, a subtle, silent force goes out from you that all feel and are influenced by, so that you carry with you an inspiration and continually shed a benediction wherever you go, so that your friends and all people will say, "His coming brings peace and joy into our homes. Welcome His coming," so that as you pass along the street, tired and weary, and even sin-sick men and women will feel a certain divine touch that will awaken new desires and a new life in them, that will make the very horse, as you pass him, turn his head with a strange, half-human, longing look. Such are the subtle powers of the human soul when it makes itself translucent to the divine. To know that such a life is within our living here and now is enough to make one burst forth with songs of joy. And when the life itself is entered upon, the sentiment of at least one song will be, "Oh, I stand in the great forever. All things to me are divine. I eat of the heavenly manna. I drink of the heavenly wine. In the gleam of the shining rainbow, the Father's love I behold, as I gaze on its radiant blending of crimson and blue and gold. In all the bright birds that are singing, in all the fair flowers that bloom, those welcome aromas are bringing their blessings of sweet perfume. In the glorious tint of the morning, in the gorgeous sheen of the night, oh, my soul is lost in rapture, my senses are lost in sight." As one comes into and lives continually in the full, conscious realization of his oneness with the infinite life and power, then all else follows. This it is that brings the realization of such splendors and beauties and joys as a life that is thus related with the infinite power alone can know. It is this to come into the realization of heaven's richest treasures while walking on the earth. This it is to bring heaven down to earth, or rather to bring earth up to heaven. This it is to exchange weakness and impotence for strength, sorrows and sighings for joy, fears and forebodings for faith, longings for realizations. This it is to come into fullness of peace, power, and plenty. This it is to be in tune with the infinite. End of section 12. Recording by Kirk Ziegler, Ogden, Utah, voiceoversbykirk.com. End of In Tune with the Infinite by Ralph Waldo Trine.
That's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please be sure to hit the thumbs up and leave a comment. It really helps to grow the channel. Have a blessed day, everyone, and until next time, hasta luego.